The summer heat hung like a blanket over the small suburban neighborhood where 12-year-old Oliver Bennett lived with his parents. Their house sat at the end of Maple Street, a modest two-story with fading blue paint and a creaking front porch that had seen better days. The Bennett family wasn't rich by any means, but Oliver's father, Richard, made sure they never wanted for anything important. One of those important things, according to Richard Bennett, was safety. He worked as a security consultant for a firm in the next town over, and his professional paranoia had a way of following him home. "If something happens, run to the neighbors," he'd tell Oliver at least once a week, usually while checking the locks before bed. "Don't hesitate, don't wait. The Wilsons are only 40 steps away. Count them if you need to." Oliver had counted them exactly once, on a dare from his father. 42 steps for his gangly preteen legs, 38 for his dad's longer stride. The Wilsons, a retired couple with 3 cats and a penchant for baking cookies, had watched in confusion as Oliver and his father took turns speed-walking the distance between their front doors one Saturday morning. As far as Oliver was concerned, his father's constant warnings were just another quirk to endure, like his mother's insistence on fish oil supplements or his teacher Mrs. Parker's habit of calling everyone sweetie regardless of age or gender. Until the night when something actually happened. It began as an ordinary Tuesday in late July. Oliver had spent the day avoiding summer reading assignments and trying to beat his high score on his favorite video game. His mother, Laura, was attending her weekly book club, and his father had called to say he'd be working late. "Lock all the doors, buddy," Richard had instructed over the phone. "And remember, if something happens, run to the neighbors," Oliver had finished, rolling his eyes even though his father couldn't see him. "I know, Dad." The evening progressed uneventfully. Oliver heated up leftover lasagna for dinner, fed their golden retriever Max, and settled in front of the television. By 9 o'clock, his mother still wasn't home, but she'd texted to say book club was running long. At 9:37 p.m., the power went out. Oliver wasn't particularly worried at first. Summer brownouts weren't uncommon in their area. He set down his game controller with a sigh and fumbled his way to the kitchen drawer where they kept flashlights. That's when he heard it. The unmistakable sound of breaking glass from the back of the house. His heart slammed against his rib cage as he froze in place. Max, usually the laziest dog in existence, was suddenly alert, a low growl building in his chest. "Hello?" Oliver called out, immediately regretting it. The house answered with silence, but it was a different kind of silence than before. Heavy, intentional, the silence of someone trying not to make noise. Max barked once, sharply, then bounded toward the rear of the house. "Max, no!" Oliver whispered urgently, but the dog was already gone. A man's voice cursed from the direction of the laundry room, followed by sounds of a brief struggle and a pained yelp from Max. Oliver's father's words echoed in his mind. "If something happens, run to the neighbors." Something was definitely happening. With trembling hands, Oliver unlocked the front door as quietly as possible. He stepped outside into the warm night air, eased the door closed behind him, and began counting steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oliver counted under his breath as he moved across the front lawn, his bare feet silent on the dewy grass. The neighborhood was unusually quiet. No passing cars, no distant conversations from open windows. Even the streetlights had gone dark with the power outage. 7, 8, 9. His mind raced with fear for Max. The dog's pained yelp replayed in his head. Was Max hurt? Or worse? Halfway to the Wilsons' house, Oliver heard the Bennett family's front door open behind him. He didn't turn around. Instead, he broke into a sprint, abandoning the counting. "Hey, kid!" "Stop!" a hoarse voice called out. Oliver ran faster than he'd ever run in his life, faster than during school track meets, faster than when being chased by playground bullies. His lungs burned, and his throat tightened with each gasping breath. The Wilsons' porch light was off. They must have lost power too, but Oliver could make out the shape of their house in the moonlight. Just a few more steps. He heard footsteps pounding behind him, gaining ground. Adult footsteps, longer strides. Oliver reached the Wilsons' front door and pounded on it with both fists. "Help! Please, help!" he shouted, his voice cracking. The footsteps behind him slowed. Oliver risked a glance over his shoulder and saw a silhouette at the edge of the Wilsons' property, a tall man wearing what looked like a ski mask. The figure hesitated, then turned and sprinted away, disappearing between houses. The porch light suddenly blazed to life above Oliver's head. The Wilsons must have had a generator. The front door swung open to reveal Mrs. Wilson in a floral bathrobe, her gray hair in curlers. "Oliver? Good heavens, what's wrong?" she asked, pulling him inside. "Someone broke into our house," Oliver gasped, struggling to catch his breath. "The power went out, and I heard glass breaking and Max. Oh God, Max is still there." Mr. Wilson appeared behind his wife, already dialing 911 on his cordless phone. "Stay here, son," he said firmly. "I'll check on your dog." "No," Oliver grabbed the old man's arm. "My dad says if something happens, we should call the police and wait. The man could still be out there." Mr. Wilson nodded reluctantly and spoke into the phone, giving their address and explaining the situation. Mrs. Wilson guided Oliver to their sofa and wrapped a knitted afghan around his shoulders. "Where are your parents, dear?" she asked, pressing a mug of hastily made hot chocolate into his trembling hands. "Mom's at book club. Dad's working late," Oliver answered, surprised to find tears streaming down his face. "I need to call them." Mrs. Wilson handed him her cell phone. Oliver dialed his mother first, but the call went straight to voicemail. He tried his father next. Richard Bennett answered on the first ring. "Hello?" His voice was tense, distracted. "Dad? It's me. Someone broke into the house. I ran to the Wilsons like you always said," Oliver explained, words tumbling out in a rush. A strange silence followed. Then, "You're at the Wilsons? Right now?" "Yes. Mr. Wilson called the police. They're on their way." Another pause. "Stay there. I'm coming home." Something in his father's voice made Oliver's skin prickle. It wasn't just concern. It was fear. 20 minutes later, police cruisers with flashing lights illuminated the street. Officers searched the Bennett house and confirmed the break-in. A broken laundry room window, signs of forced entry. They found Max locked in a bathroom, frightened but unharmed. When Richard Bennett's car screeched to a halt in front of the Wilson residence, Oliver ran out to meet him. His father wrapped him in a fierce hug. "I was so scared," Oliver admitted into his father's shoulder. "You did exactly right," Richard said, his voice hoarse. "Exactly right." Over his father's shoulder, Oliver noticed something odd. The trunk of his dad's car was partly open, and inside was what looked like a duffel bag. "Dad, what's that?" he asked. Richard quickly closed the trunk. "Nothing important. Come on, the police need our statements." As they walked toward the officers, Oliver's phone buzzed with a text. It was from his mother. "Book club canceled tonight. Working late. Don't wait up." Oliver frowned, puzzled. If book club was canceled, where had his mother been all evening? Oliver stared at his phone, reading his mother's text message again. Something didn't add up. He glanced at his father, who was speaking quietly with a police officer near their driveway. Richard's face was tense, his gestures sharp and agitated. "Is everything okay, dear?" Mrs. Wilson asked, appearing at Oliver's side with a fresh mug of hot chocolate. I don't know, Oliver admitted. My mom texted that her book club was canceled tonight, but earlier she told me that's where she was. Mrs. Wilson frowned. That's odd. I saw Laura's car leaving your driveway around 8 o'clock. I assumed she was heading to her club. Before Oliver could process this information, a second police car pulled up. Two detectives stepped out and approached his father. Their conversation became more intense. Richard ran his hands through his hair, a nervous habit Oliver had noticed whenever his father was under stress. Oliver? The voice came from behind him. He turned to find his mother hurrying toward him, her face pale with worry. Oh my God, are you okay? He let her pull him into a hug, but his mind was racing. Mom, where were you? You said book club, then you texted it was canceled. Laura Bennett pulled back, her smile faltering. I was meeting with a client, a last-minute thing. I didn't want you to worry about me working late. But Mrs. Wilson saw your car leave at 8. His mother's eyes darted toward the Wilsons' house, then back to Oliver. I came home first, then left again. She smoothed his hair. That doesn't matter now. What happened here? As Oliver explained about the power outage and the break-in, he watched his parents exchange a look over his head, a look that carried an entire conversation in seconds. One of the detectives approached their small family circle. Mrs. Bennett, I'm Detective Morales. Could I have a word with you and your husband? While his parents spoke with the detective, Oliver sat on the curb with Max, who had been released to them after being checked by the officers. The golden retriever pressed against his side, still trembling slightly. What's going on, Max? Oliver whispered, scratching behind the dog's ears. Something weird is happening. That's when he noticed a small tear in his father's jacket sleeve, a fresh tear with threads still hanging loose. Next to it was something dark that looked like blood? Oliver squinted in the flashing police lights. Yes, definitely blood. Not a lot, but enough to notice. He remembered the duffel bag in the trunk, his father's nervousness, his mother's contradictory stories. Suddenly, Detective Morales' voice rose. So neither of you can explain why your home security system was disabled from inside the house at 8:17 p.m. Oliver watched his parents carefully. His mother looked away. His father squared his shoulders. Look, Richard said, lowering his voice but not enough that Oliver couldn't hear. This wasn't a random break-in. These people were looking for something specific. And what would that be, Mr. Bennett? Detective Morales asked. Richard hesitated. I can't say. It's related to my work, national security. I need to make some calls. Oliver felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. His father didn't work in national security. He was a security consultant for small businesses, installing alarm systems, advising on loss prevention. Oliver had visited his office once. There was nothing secret or governmental about it. Laura touched her husband's arm. Richard, maybe we should— Not now, his father cut her off, then turned back to the detective. I need to speak with your supervisor. As the adults continued their tense conversation, Oliver's mind pieced together the fragments of this strange night. The mysterious duffel bag, his father's torn sleeve and blood, his mother's lies about her whereabouts, the security system disabled from inside. If something happens, run to the neighbors, his father had always said. But what if his father had known something might eventually happen? What if that instruction wasn't just paranoia, but preparation? 3 days later, the Bennett family was gone. Oliver, his parents, and Max disappeared overnight, leaving behind a half-packed house and confused neighbors. The police investigation revealed that Richard Bennett wasn't who he claimed to be. His security company was real, but his employment there wasn't. Laura Bennett's book club members said she'd stopped attending months ago. Mrs. Wilson would later tell reporters that the night of the break-in, she'd seen something she hadn't mentioned to the police. When Richard Bennett had hugged his son in front of her house, she'd overheard him whisper, "You remembered. Good boy. Now we have to go away for a while." 5 years would pass before a postcard arrived at the Wilsons' house. No return address, postmarked from a small town in Canada. It contained just 7 words. "Thank you for being such good neighbors." And on the other side was a photo of a golden retriever lying on a porch, looking content and safe, far away from whatever had happened that summer night when Oliver had counted 42 steps to safety.
Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more interesting content coming soon.